The ship landed softly on the metal platform. Yuna looked out the window and saw something she had never seen before. The Galactic Unity Academy floated in space like a giant silver flower. It was beautiful. It was also very far from home. She was 19 years old. She had black hair that fell to her shoulders and dark eyes that noticed everything. Back on Earth, in the busy city of Bizon, she had been just another student. Here, she was the first human to ever walk through these doors. The door of the ship opened with a soft hiss. Yuna picked up her small bag and stepped outside. The air smelled clean, too clean, like it had been scrubbed of everything natural. She missed the smell of the ocean already. A tall creature waited for her at the end of the platform. It was a Velari. She knew from her studies. The being was almost 3 meters tall, with skin so thin and pale that Yuna could see blue veins running underneath. It had 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern on its face. All 4 eyes blinked at different times. "Welcome to the Academy," the Velari said. Its voice sounded like someone running fingers over glass. "I am Administrator Kel. You are the human called Yuna Park." It was not a question. "Yes," Yuna said. She tried to stand taller, but it did not help much. "Thank you for having me." Administrator Kel made a strange sound. Later, Yuna would learn it was the Velari way of showing surprise. "You are smaller than we expected," Kel said. Yuna smiled. "I get that a lot." They walked through long white hallways. Other students moved past them, and every single one stopped to stare. Yuna saw creatures of all shapes and sizes. There were the insect-like Kreth with their hard shells and clicking mouths. There were the Morath, soft and round like frogs, with skin that changed colors as she watched. There were others she did not recognize at all. None of them looked away when she looked back. They just kept staring. "Your room is in the East Wing," Kel explained. "You will share it with a Velari student named Tellus. She volunteered for this assignment." "Volunteered?" Yuna asked. "Yes." Most students were hesitant. Yuna understood. She was strange to them, unknown, possibly dangerous. She had read the reports about how other species saw humans. Words like unpredictable and concerning appeared often. Her room was small but comfortable. 2 beds, 2 desks, 1 window that showed the stars outside. A Velari was already there, sitting very still on one of the beds. She was younger than Administrator Kel, with larger eyes and skin that had a faint purple tint. "Hello," Yuna said. "You must be Tellus." All 4 of the Velari's eyes focused on her at once. It was a little unsettling. "Yes, I am Tellus." Her voice was softer than Kel's, more like a whisper. "You are the human. Yuna," she said. "Please call me Yuna." She put her bag on the empty bed and began to unpack. She did not have much. Some clothes. A few books with real paper pages. A photo of her family standing in front of their restaurant. A small stone she had picked up from the beach the day before she left. Earth. Tellus watched everything with obvious curiosity. "Why do you carry a rock?" Tellus asked. Yuna held up the smooth gray stone. "It is from my home, from the beach near my house. I wanted to bring a piece of Earth with me." "Earth," Earth Tellus repeated slowly. "That is the name of your planet." "Yes, yes." "We do not know much about it. The records are limited." Yuna sat down on her bed. The mattress was strange, too soft, like sitting on a cloud. "What do you want to know?" Tellus thought for a moment. "What is it like? Your world?" Nobody had asked her that before. The officials who interviewed her wanted to know about her skills, her education, her psychological profile. They never asked about home. "It is beautiful," Yuna said after a moment. "We have oceans that cover most of the planet. Big mountains covered in snow. Forests so thick you cannot see the sky. Deserts where nothing grows. Cities with millions of people living together." She paused. "And beaches. I miss the beaches most. It sounds varied, Tella said carefully. It is very much so. A soft chime sounded through the room. Tella stood up quickly. That is the dinner call. We should go to the eating hall. The eating hall was enormous. Hundreds of students sat at long tables, each species grouped together. The noise was strange, a mix of sounds that Yuna's ears could not quite understand. Clicks and whistles and hums and things she had no words for. Tellus led her to a table near the back. As they walked, the noise got quieter. Students stopped talking to watch them pass. Yuna kept her eyes forward and her back straight. They sat down. The table had a screen built into its surface. Tellus touched it a few times, and two bowls appeared from a slot in the center. One contained something that looked like purple soup. The other held a brown paste that smelled like nothing at all. The system analyzed your biology, Tellus explained. This should be safe for you to eat. Safe, not good, not tasty. Just safe. Yuna picked up the spoon and tried the paste. It tasted like cardboard mixed with sadness. She ate it anyway. She was hungry, and she had eaten worse things during survival training back on Earth. Across the hall, a group of Kreth were watching her with their many eyes. One of them said something to the others. They all made a clicking sound together. They are talking about you, Tella said quietly. What are they saying? They are wondering why the Academy let a human in. They think it might be dangerous. Yuna swallowed another bite of paste. Dangerous, me? Humans have a reputation, Tella said. Your species is very new to the galactic community. And there are stories. What kind of stories? Tellus's skin shifted to a slightly darker shade of purple. Yuna was learning that this meant embarrassment. Stories about how humans can survive things that would kill other species. How you heal from injuries that should be fatal. How you keep going when you should stop. Tellus paused. Some say your species does not know how to die. Yuna almost laughed. Almost. We die, she said. Trust me. We die all the time. We are actually quite good at it. Tellus stared at her with all four eyes. That was a joke, Yuna added. I see, Tellus said, though she clearly did not see it all. After dinner, Yuna walked back to her room alone. Tellus had a study group to attend. The hallways were quieter now, most students in their rooms or common areas. Yuna found a window and stopped to look outside. Stars. Millions of them. Billions. More than she had ever seen from Earth's polluted skies. Somewhere out there, invisible in the darkness, was her home. Her family. Everything she knew. She touched the glass with her fingertips. It was cold. I made it, she whispered to no one. I am really here. Tomorrow classes would begin. Tomorrow, she would learn alongside species that had traveled the stars for thousands of years. Tomorrow, she would prove that humans belonged here too. But tonight, she just stood at the window and watched the stars. And she wondered if anyone back home was looking up at the sky and thinking of her. The universe was very big. And she was very small. But Yuna had learned something growing up on Earth. Something that every human knew in their bones. Small things could survive. Small things could fight. Small things could change the world. She just had to show them. 3 weeks passed at the academy. Yuna learned many things. She learned that the Valari slept standing up. She learned that the Kreth considered eye contact to be rude. She learned that the Morith communicated emotions through the colors of their skin. And that bright yellow meant they were happy, while dark blue meant they were afraid. She also learned that most species thought she was very strange. It was not just her appearance, though that was strange enough to them. It was the way she moved, the way she ate, the way she sometimes laughed at things that were not funny to anyone else. One day, a Morith student asked her why she had small hairs on her arms. Another day, a Kreth wanted to know why her body temperature was so high. A Valari professor spent an entire hour examining her teeth and asking about their purpose. "You have teeth for cutting and teeth for grinding," the professor had said with wonder. "Your species eats both plants and animals?" "Yes," Una had answered. "We eat almost everything." The professor had written this down as if it was the most fascinating thing he had ever heard. But today was different. Today was the lecture Una would remember for the rest of her life. The class was called Planetary Classifications. It was taught by an old Morith named Professor Veth. His skin had faded to a permanent gray color, which Tellus explained meant he was very, very old. He moved slowly and spoke even slower. But when he talked, everyone listened. The lecture hall was large. Una sat in the back row as usual. She liked being able to see everyone. She liked having a wall behind her. Old habits from Earth, where you never knew what might come from behind. Tellus sat next to her, 4 eyes blinking in sequence. "Today," Professor Veth announced, "we will discuss Category Omega environments." He touched a control panel and a holographic image appeared above his desk. It showed a planet covered in dark clouds and red lightning. Category Omega environments, Beth continued, are also called Deathworlds. These are planets where the conditions are so extreme that intelligent life cannot develop. They are rare. They are dangerous. They are quarantined. Una pulled out her tablet and started taking notes. This seemed like a normal lecture. Nothing special. "Let us review the characteristics that define a death world," Beth said. "Please pay attention. This information may save your life someday." A list appeared on the holographic display. First characteristic: gravity above 0.8 standard units. Una's stylus stopped moving. Standard gravity in the galaxy was measured differently than on Earth, but she had done the math during her first week. Earth's gravity was 1.0 on the galactic scale. She was above the limit. High gravity, Beth explained, puts tremendous stress on biological systems. It damages organs. It breaks bones. It makes movement exhausting. No species can thrive in such conditions. Una thought about jumping, about running, about the simple act of standing up, something she did dozens of times every day without thinking. Second characteristic: oxygen content in the atmosphere above 15%. Una's hands started to shake slightly. Earth's atmosphere was 21% oxygen. Oxygen in high concentrations is extremely dangerous, Beth said. It promotes fire. It causes oxidative damage to cells. It is essentially a slow poison that destroys biological tissue from the inside. Around the room, students were nodding. This all made perfect sense to them. Of course, high oxygen was deadly. Everyone knew that .yun, a thought about breathing. Just breathing. The simple in and out that kept her alive. Third characteristic: liquid water covering more than 10% of the planetary surface. Earth was 70% water. Water, Veth said, is one of the most destructive substances in the known universe. It erodes rock. It carries disease. It can crush, drown, or freeze any living thing. A planet covered in water is a planet covered in death. Una thought about the ocean near her home. The waves she had swum in as a child. The rain that fell every summer during monsoon season. Fourth characteristic: active tectonic plates causing seismic events. Earthquakes. Una remembered the big one when she was 12. The way the ground had shaken like a living thing. The cracks that had appeared in the walls of her family's apartment. The way her mother had grabbed her and pulled her under the table. Fifth characteristic: extreme weather phenomena, including electrical storms and cyclonic events. Thunderstorms, typhoons, the big one that had flooded half of Bizen when she was 15. The lightning that had killed her neighbor's dog. Sixth characteristic: axial tilt causing seasonal temperature variations. Summer and winter. The heat that could kill old people. The cold that froze the pipes in January. Seventh characteristic. Native life forms evolved for predation. Tigers, sharks, bears, wolves, mosquitoes. The list went on and on. A death world, Veth concluded, has all or most of these characteristics. Such planets are classified as forbidden zones. No species could possibly evolve intelligence under these conditions. The evolutionary pressure would be too great. Life would remain primitive and brutal, short and violent. The professor turned off the holographic display. Thankfully, he said, death worlds are rare, and no intelligent species has ever been found on one. The words hung in the air. Yuna sat very still. Her tablet had fallen from her hands. She did not pick it up. That was her home. Every single characteristic on that list described Earth. The gravity, the oxygen, the water, the earthquakes and storms and seasons and predators. All of it. Every terrible, deadly thing that made a death world was just normal life on Earth. She had grown up on a death world. Her parents lived on a death world. Her friends, her neighbors. 7 billion humans, all living on a planet that the galaxy considered too dangerous to visit. That was home, she whispered. The words came out before she could stop them. They were quiet, barely a breath, but in the silent lecture hall, they carried. The Valari student next to her turned sharply. All 4 of his eyes went wide. What did you say? He demanded. Yuna looked at him. She looked at Telos, whose skin had turned a pale white color. She looked at Professor Veth, who was staring at her like she had suddenly grown a second head. Earth, Yuna said, louder now. The planet I come from. It has all of those things. Every single one. Silence. Complete and total silence. Then chaos. Students started talking all at once. The clicks of the Krath mixed with the whistles of the Valari and the color-shifting panic of the Morith. Professor. Veth's skin cycled through colors Yuna had never seen before. That is impossible, someone shouted. She must be lying, another voice added. No intelligent species could survive such conditions. Yuna stood up slowly. Her legs felt weak, but she forced them to work. She had spent 19 years walking on a planet with gravity that should have broken her bones. Standing up in a lecture hall was nothing. I am not lying, she said. Her voice was calm, steady, the voice of someone who had learned to stay calm during earthquakes and typhoons and all the other disasters that Earth threw at its children. I grew up swimming in liquid water. I have stood outside during electrical storms. I have felt the ground shake beneath my feet. She held up her hand, showing her fingernails. These are for climbing and gripping. My teeth are for eating plants and meat. My skin sweats to cool me down in heat that would kill most of you. She took a breath of the Academy's thin, safe, boring air. My species breathes 21% oxygen. We drink water. We live in a gravity that you call crushing. We survive seasons that swing from burning heat to freezing cold. Yuna looked around the room at all the terrified faces. And we do not just survive, she said. We thrive. We build cities. We create art. We love and laugh and dream. We look up at the stars and we wonder what is out there. She picked up her tablet from the floor. That is what humans do. That is who we are. Children of a death world. She walked out of the lecture hall. Behind her, the chaos continued. But Yuna did not look back. She had survived 19 years on a planet that the galaxy called impossible. She could survive a few scared aliens. She was human. And humans survived everything. The news spread like fire by dinner time. Every student in the academy knew about the human from the death world. By morning, professors were calling emergency meetings. By the end of the second day, Yuna received a message on her tablet. You are required to appear before the Academy Council. Time, 10th hour. Location, Central Chamber. Do not be late. Telos found her in their room, staring at the message. This is serious, Telos said. Her skin was a worried shade of gray. The council does not summon students, ever. Yuna put down the tablet. What do you think they will do? I do not know. Maybe they will send you home. Maybe they will ask you questions. Maybe. Telos stopped. Maybe what? Maybe they are afraid of you now. Yuna laughed. It was a small, tired laugh. Afraid of me? I am 5 feet 4 inches tall. I weigh 50 kilograms. Half the students here could crush me without trying. That is not the kind of fear I mean, Telos said quietly. Yuna understood. It was not her size they feared. It was what her existence meant. If humans could evolve on a Deathworld, if they could become intelligent and build civilizations in conditions that should have killed them, then what else might they be capable of? The unknown was always more frightening than the known. The central chamber was the heart of the academy. It was a round room with a domed ceiling that showed the stars outside. 12 seats formed a half circle at one end. In each seat sat a representative from one of the founding species of the Galactic Unity. Yuna walked in alone. Her footsteps echoed on the smooth floor. She stopped in the center of the room and waited. The council speaker was a being she did not recognize. It had a body like a snake covered in silver scales and a head with 6 eyes arranged in a circle. When it spoke, the words came from somewhere inside its coils. You are Yuna Park, human, from the planet Earth. Yes. Do you understand why you have been called here? Yuna nodded. Because of what I said in the lecture hall. What you said has caused great concern among our member species. Many believe you were lying. Others believe you were confused. Some believe you were telling the truth, and they find that possibility very disturbing. I was telling the truth. A ripple of movement went through the council. Some members leaned forward. Others pulled back. The colors on the Morath representative's skin went wild. You are claiming, the speaker said slowly, that your species evolved on a category Omega world, a death world. I am not claiming anything, Yuna replied. She kept her voice calm and steady. I am stating facts. I can provide evidence, scientific data, images of Earth, biological scans of my own body. Whatever you need. Tell us about your world, another council member said. This one was Kreth, with a hard black shell and mandibles that clicked as it spoke. Tell us everything. Yuna took a breath. Earth is the 3rd planet from our sun. It is covered by water, about 70% of the surface. The water exists as oceans, lakes, rivers, and rain. We drink it. We swim in it. We use it to grow food. She could see the council members reacting to each fact with shock or disbelief. Our atmosphere is 21% oxygen. We breathe it every moment of every day. Our bodies use it to create energy. Yes, it causes oxidation damage, but our cells have developed ways to repair themselves. We call this process aging. Eventually, it kills us, but most humans live for 70 or 80 years before that happens. 70 or 80 cycles. The Kreth representative interrupted. Despite living in a toxic atmosphere? Yes, some live even longer, she continued. Our planet has active tectonic plates. They cause earthquakes. The ground shakes. Buildings fall. People die. But we rebuild. We always rebuild. We have learned to construct buildings that can survive earthquakes. We have developed warning systems for tsunamis, which are giant waves caused by underwater earthquakes. The room was completely silent. We have seasons. Our planet tilts on its axis, so different parts receive different amounts of sunlight throughout the year. In summer, temperatures can reach 40 or 50 degrees Celsius. In winter, they can drop below -40. We have adapted to survive both extremes. Impossible, the Morath representative whispered. Its skin was a deep blue color of fear. I lived through a winter where the temperature stayed below freezing for 3 months, Yuna said. I also lived through a summer where 20 people in my city died from heat. Both extremes are normal on Earth. She thought about what else to tell them. We have predators. Many species evolved to eat other animals. Sharks hunt in our oceans. They can smell blood from kilometers away. Tigers hunt in our forests. They are strong enough to kill a human with one strike. We also have smaller dangers. Insects that carry diseases. Snakes with venom that can stop a heart. Spiders that hide in dark corners. And humans survive among these creatures? The speaker asked. We do more than survive. We became the dominant species on our planet. We built weapons to fight predators. We built shelters to protect ourselves from weather. We developed medicine to cure diseases. We created fire to stay warm and cook food. She smiled, though there was no joy in it. Earth tried to kill us for millions of years. We refused to die. We adapted. We evolved. We overcame every challenge the planet threw at us. The council was silent for a long moment. Finally, the speaker spoke again. Why did you not tell us this before? When humans first made contact with the galactic unity, why did you hide the nature of your world? We did not hide anything, Yuna said. When your people first came to Earth, they wore protective suits. They scanned our atmosphere and called it dangerous. They measured our gravity and said it was too high. They saw our oceans and called them deadly. She paused. We thought that was just how aliens talked about things. We did not realize you actually believed those conditions were impossible to survive. To us, Earth is just home. It is all we have ever known. The Kreth representative made a clicking sound that might have been a laugh. You thought breathing toxic air and swimming in liquid death was normal. It is normal, Yuna said. For us. Another council member spoke. This one was Valari, tall and pale and very still. If what you say is true, then humans are unlike any species we have ever encountered. Your biology must be remarkably resilient. Your psychology must be shaped by constant exposure to danger and death. We are resilient, Yuna agreed. But we are not monsters. We feel pain. We feel fear. We love our families and mourn our dead. We dream of peaceful lives and happy endings. She thought about her parents, working in their small restaurant back in Bizan. Her mother making the same soup she had made for 40 years. Her father telling the same jokes to customers. We just also know how to survive when peace is not possible. The council talked among themselves for several minutes. Yuna could not understand their words, but she could read their body language. Some were afraid. Some were fascinated. Some were calculating what this meant for the future. Finally, the speaker turned back to her. Yuna Park, we have made a decision. You will not be sent home. You will continue your studies at the academy. Yuna let out a breath she did not know she had been holding. However, the speaker continued. We will require more information about your species and your world. Scientists who will want to study you. Diplomats will have questions. The entire galaxy will want to understand how humans exist. I will help however I can, Yuna said. The speaker made a strange motion with its coils. It might have been a nod. One more thing, human. We must ask. Are there more of you coming? More humans who wish to join the galactic community. Yuna thought about Earth. 7 billion people. Millions of them looking up at the stars and wondering what was out there. Scientists building better rockets. Dreamers writing stories about alien worlds. Yes, she said. Many more. We have been waiting a long time to meet you. The speaker was quiet for a moment. I believe, it said finally, that the galaxy is about to change. Yuna walked out of the central chamber with her head held high. She was still a small human from a deadly world. But now, at least, they knew the truth. Humans were not meant to be here. They had survived anyway, and this was only the beginning. 6 months had passed since the council meeting. Life at the academy had changed. Yuna was no longer ignored. Now everyone wanted to talk to her. Students asked questions about Earth. Professors invited her to special lectures. Scientists requested samples of her hair, her blood, her saliva. She said yes to most of it because she understood that fear came from ignorance. The more they knew about humans, the less afraid they would be. She was not alone anymore either. 2 months after her arrival, another human joined the academy. His name was Doan. He was from Seoul, a city not far from Bizen. He was tall for a human, with broad shoulders and a serious face. He did not smile much, but when he did, it changed his whole appearance. They became friends quickly. It was nice to have someone who understood. Someone who did not stare when she ate food with actual flavor. Someone who knew what rain felt like, what snow looked like, what it meant to watch a thunderstorm roll across the sky. They still look at us like we might explode, Do-hun said one evening. They were sitting in the common room, watching the stars through the big window. Give them time, Yuna replied. They have believed certain things for thousands of years. Learning that those things are wrong takes more than a few months. Do-hun nodded slowly. I suppose you are right. It was during their 8th month at the academy that everything changed again. Every student at the academy was required to complete the survival examination. It was a tradition. Cadets spent 72 hours on a training moon, working together to survive. The conditions were controlled. The food was provided. The dangers were small. No one had ever failed. 40-7 cadets were sent to the training moon for this session. Yuna and Do-hun were among them. So was Tellus and a Kreth named Cass, who had become something like a friend. There were Morith, Morvalari, and several species Yuna was still learning about. The first day was easy. The training dome was comfortable. The temperature was perfect. The food appeared automatically. Yuna spent most of her time helping other students set up their sleeping areas. This is supposed to be survival training? Do-hun asked her quietly. I had harder camping trips in middle school. Let them have their easy test, Yuna whispered back. Not everyone grew up on a Deathworld. On the second night, everything went wrong. Yuna woke up shivering. That was strange. The dome was supposed to maintain a constant temperature. She sat up and saw her breath forming. Small clouds in the air. Cold. Very cold. She checked the environmental display on the wall. The numbers made her heart stop. -10 degrees Celsius. And falling. Everyone wake up, she shouted. Her voice cut through the silence like a blade. The heating system has failed. Get up now. Chaos erupted. The Valari students could not regulate their body temperature. In the cold, their bodies began to shut down. Talos was already unconscious, her skin turning a pale blue color. The Kreth were moving slowly, their shells becoming brittle. The Morith were cracking, their moist skin drying and splitting in the cold air. Only Yuna and Do-hun were still fully functional. What do we do? A Morith student cried. Its skin was flashing between colors so fast it made Yuna dizzy. Yuna did not panic. She had felt cold before. Real cold. Korean winters that froze the sea. Nights when the power went out and her family huddled together for warmth. This was bad, but it was not impossible. Do-hun, she said sharply. Find everyone who can still move. Bring them to me. He nodded and ran off. Yuna looked around the dome. The heating system was dead. The backup systems were not responding. The backup systems were not responding, but the dome itself was still standing. They had walls. They had materials. They could survive. Duhan returned with 7 students who could still walk. Most of them were shaking badly, but they were conscious. "Listen to me," Yuna said. "We need to build insulated shelters. Small spaces that will trap body heat. Tear down the sleeping platforms. Use the fabric for blankets. Use the frames to build walls." "That will not work," a Velari student protested. "The cold is too extreme." "It will work because it has to work," Yuna said. "Now move." They moved. Yuna directed everything. She showed them how to build small shelters using the materials around them. She organized the unconscious students into groups, placing them together so their body heat would combine. She created a rotation system where the mobile students would take turns sitting with the cold ones, sharing warmth. Hours passed. The temperature kept dropping. Yuna felt the cold in her bones, but she kept moving. Moving generated heat. Stopping meant dying. Then the ground shook. It was a small earthquake, barely a tremor by Earth standards. But the dome was not built for seismic activity. 2 of the shelter supports cracked. The ceiling began to buckle. "Everyone out!" Yuna screamed. Most students made it. But the main support beam was falling, and 3 more were still trapped inside. Without thinking, Yuna threw herself forward. She caught the beam on her shoulders and pushed up with all her strength. The beam was heavy. Heavier than anything she had ever lifted. She felt something crack in her ribs. She felt her shoulder pop out of its socket. But she held. "Get them out," she shouted through gritted teeth. Now, Doan was there. He grabbed the first Morith and pulled. Then the second. Then the third. One by one, he dragged them to safety. "Everyone is clear," Dohan called. Yuna let go and rolled sideways. The beam crashed down where she had been standing. She lay on the cold ground, breathing hard, her shoulder screaming in pain. Dohan pulled her up. "Are you okay?" "No," she admitted. "But I will live." "How are the others?" "Alive, thanks to you." The hours that followed were the longest of Yuna's life. She worked with a dislocated shoulder and cracked ribs. She organized, directed, encouraged. When students wanted to give up, she told them stories about Earth, about humans who had survived worse, about the will to live that burned in every human heart. Finally, at the 71st hour, rescue ships arrived. When the Academy officials entered the dome, they found all 47 cadets alive. Cold, injured, terrified, but alive. In the center of them sat Yuna, her arm hanging at a wrong angle, her face pale from blood loss. "Medical team!" Someone shouted. They rushed to help the injured. Yuna refused treatment until everyone else had been seen. Only when the last student was loaded onto a rescue ship did she allow the medics to touch her. "What happened here?" an official demanded. "The environmental controls should not have failed like this." "It does not matter what should have happened," Dohan said. He was standing next to Yuna, refusing to leave her side. "What matters is what did happen. Your test tried to kill us, and we survived anyway." The official looked at him, then at Yuna, then at the damaged dome. "How?" she asked. Yuna laughed. It hurt, but she laughed anyway. "We are human," she said. "This is what we do." On the medical ship, as they flew back to the academy, Tellus woke up. Her skin was still pale, but her 4 eyes were open and clear. "You saved us," she whispered. "You saved all of us." Yuna squeezed her hand with her good arm. "That is what friends do," she said. "That is what humans do." Tellus was quiet for a moment. "I think I understand now," she said finally, "why your species survived your world. It was not because you are strong. It is because you refused to let others die. Yuna smiled through her pain. We are strong because we refuse to let others die. It is the same thing. Telus's skin shifted to a soft pink color. Yuna did not know what that meant, but it felt warm somehow. It felt like hope. She closed her eyes and let the medics do their work. Her shoulder would heal. Her ribs would mend. And when she woke up, she would keep going, because that was what humans did. They survived. And they brought others with them. 1 year had passed since Yuna first arrived at the academy. Today was graduation day. She stood in line with her classmates, wearing the silver sash of a certified Galactic Unity diplomat. Her shoulder had healed, though it still ached when the weather changed. Her ribs were whole again, but she carried other marks from that night on the training moon. Marks that did not show on the outside. The graduation hall was filled with hundreds of beings. Students, professors, family members who had traveled across the galaxy to watch their children succeed. Yuna's family could not come. Earth was too far, the journey too expensive. But they were watching through a video link, and that was enough. The ceremony was long and formal. Names were called. Students walked across the stage. Officials gave speeches about duty and honor and the future of galactic peace. When Yuna's name was called, something strange happened. The room went quiet. Then, slowly, the applause started. It grew louder and louder until it filled the entire hall. Students stood up. Professors stood up. Even the council members rose from their seats. Yuna walked across the stage with tears in her eyes. She had not expected this. She had just done what needed to be done. Survived what needed to be survived. Helped who needed to be helped. But to them, she was something more. After the ceremony, there was a party. Yuna stood with Doan and Telus and Cass, drinking something sweet and purple that did not taste like anything from Earth. They laughed and talked about the future. Doan was being assigned to a diplomatic mission on a water world. He had volunteered specifically because no other species wanted to go there. 70% water, he said with a grin. Just like home. Telos was returning to her home planet to teach. She wanted to educate her people about humans, about Deathworlds, about the universe being stranger and more wonderful than anyone had imagined. Cass made a clicking sound that Yuna had learned was laughter. I told my family about you, the Kreth said. They did not believe me. They said no species could survive what you described. I had to show them the recordings from the training moon before they accepted the truth. What did they think? Yuna asked. They think humans are terrifying, Cass said, but also very useful to have as friends. The party continued for hours. Yuna shook hands, accepted congratulations, promised to stay in touch with classmates she might never see again. It was bittersweet. She had come to love this place. These people. As the night grew late, she slipped away from the crowds. She found the small garden behind the main hall, where artificial plants grew under artificial light. It was quiet there. Peaceful. She was not alone for long. The council speaker found her sitting on a bench, looking up at the glass ceiling and the stars beyond. May I join you? The snake-like being asked. Of course. The speaker coiled onto the bench beside her. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. We owe you an apology, the speaker finally said. Yuna turned to look at it. For what? For our fear. Our assumptions. Our prejudice. The speaker's 6 eyes looked down, an expression of shame. When we learned what your world was, we were terrified. We thought you must be monsters. Brutal survivors shaped by violence into something dangerous. And now? Now we understand something we should have seen from the beginning. The speaker shifted, its coils moving slowly in the dim light. Your world did not make you cruel. It made you strong, yes. Resilient, yes. But also compassionate. protective. You learn to survive by helping each other survive. That is not brutal. That is beautiful. Yuna thought about Earth, about all the disasters she had lived through, the earthquakes and typhoons and floods. And alongside every disaster, the humans who ran toward danger instead of away. The firefighters, the doctors, the ordinary people who became heroes because someone needed help. We are not perfect, she said. Humans have done terrible things to each other. Wars, crimes, cruelty. Our history is full of darkness. Every species has darkness in their history, the speaker replied. What matters is how you face it. What matters is what you choose to become. Yuna was quiet for a moment. What will happen now? She asked. Between humans and the rest of the galaxy? That is a good question. Many species are still afraid. They hear about your world and they cannot imagine surviving it. They look at you and see something that should not exist. The speaker paused. But others see something different. They see hope. They see proof that life can overcome anything. That even the most hostile universe cannot stop those who refuse to give up. And what do you see? Yuna asked. The speaker's 6 eyes focused on her. I see the future, it said. I see humans spreading across the galaxy, bringing your stubborn refusal to die, your need to help others, your impossible hope. I see you changing everything. Yuna smiled. It was a small smile, tired but genuine. We just want to be part of something bigger than ourselves, she said. We spent so long alone on our little Deathworld, looking up at the stars and wondering. Now we know we are not alone. That means more to us than you can imagine. She looked up at the stars again. Somewhere out there, invisible in the darkness, was Earth, her family, her home, the world that had forged her into who she was. When I was little, she said, my grandmother used to tell me stories. Old Korean stories about spirits and heroes and ordinary people who did extraordinary things. One of my favorites was about a tiger who came to a village during a terrible winter. The speaker listened quietly. The villagers were afraid. The tiger was huge and powerful, and they were small and weak. But instead of running away, they worked together. They built fires to scare the tiger. They took turns keeping watch. They shared their food so no one would be too weak to fight. Yuna turned to face the speaker. In the end, the tiger left. Not because they defeated it, but because it realized they would never stop fighting. They would never give up. And even a tiger does not want to fight an enemy like that. A good story, the speaker said. My grandmother said it was about Korea, about our history of being invaded and conquered and destroyed. No matter what happened to us, we survived. We rebuilt. We kept going. She stood up and stretched her arms toward the stars. That is what humans are. We are the villagers who would not give up. We are the children of a world that tried to kill us every day. And we are still here. The speaker rose beside her. I believe you are right, Yuna Park. The galaxy is about to change. And I think humans will lead that change. We do not want to lead, Yuna said. We just want to help. Perhaps that is why you will lead. Because you do not want power. You only want to help others survive, as you have survived. They stood together in silence for a while longer. Two beings from completely different worlds, looking up at the same stars. Finally, Yuna spoke again. I should get back to the party. My friends will wonder where I went. Of course. But before you go, I have something for you. The speaker reached into its coils and produced a small silver disc. This is a beacon. If you are ever in trouble, if you ever need help, activate it. The galactic unity will come. Yuna took the disc. It was warm in her hand. Thank you. No, the speaker said. Thank you. For showing us that the universe is stranger and more wonderful than we ever imagined. for teaching us that the impossible is just another word for what has not been done yet. Yuna put the disc in her pocket and walked back toward the party. At the door, she stopped and looked back. The galaxy will not change because of humans, she said. It will change because we change it together. All of us, every species, every world. That is how real change happens. The speaker made a sound that might have been agreement. Yuna smiled and walked through the door. Inside, her friends were waiting. Dohon was telling a story about a mountain he had climbed in Korea. Tellus was laughing, her skin a bright, happy yellow. Cass was clicking along, though it was clear he did not understand the joke. Yuna joined them. She put her arms around Dohon and Tellus and held them close. This was what surviving was for. Not just to live, but to live with others. To share joy and pain and everything in between. To build something beautiful in a universe that often seemed dark and cold. Humans came from a death world. They had learned to survive against impossible odds. But more importantly, they had learned that survival meant nothing if you had no one to survive with. And now, for the first time in their history, they were not alone. The galaxy was vast. The stars were countless. The future was unknown. But Yuna was not afraid. She was human. And humans faced the unknown the same way they faced everything else. Together. With hope. With stubborn, impossible, beautiful hope. And they never, ever gave up.